Welcome to Yeshiva Daf, your sponsor, Nishmas. I'm Yaakov Shalom Yitzchok. We're holding in Sanhedrin Daf Nundalid. We got to the end of Megillah base. We have what Rava said. Rava came to explain the Shita or Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda learned that if one has a relationship with his mother, who is the wife of his father, he's chayav only one. He's chayav only on the mother. Why is that so? So Rava said, you're learning from the pasuk because it says imchoi, and the imchoi comes to exclude it's only the mother, not something else. And Josh the pasuk a certain way. We're going to see a brisa like that. Let's see. Tanya kavasei the Rav. So we find a brisa like Rav. What's the brisa? It says in the Gemara, Ish, the first line. Ish, it says in the pasuk. And this is how the Gemara is going to use this word throughout. Ish, prat lekato, right? Asher yishkav is Eishes Aviv. He will have a relationship with the father's wife. Mashma bein Eishes Aviv sheim yoy, Eishes Aviv shaloim. It says the wife of the father. Is it his mother? It means both. Either his mother or not his mother. So what about a mother who was not a wife of the father? Let's say born out of wedlock. So the Hemshech HaPasuk is Ervas Aviv. What's Ervas Aviv? To include the mother. So it says, Eishes Aviv is any wife of the father, mother or not mother. Then it says Ervas Aviv is the mother. So you have Gzir Shavah. That it says over here, Ervas Aviv, and I'll see in a moment. The Gemara is going to get to in a moment. Tell Ervas Aviv, tell it's a mother. Moisyumsu, they're going to die. Beskilo. Tell you Beskilo, you know Elo b'chazikol misa mois mateo. How do you know Skilo? Maybe it's another misa. That's what we learned in the previous daf. That Dmei and Bom teaches you Skilo. Malalam Beskilo, Avkam Beskilo. Okay, so that's a pasuk of Pasuk Kedoshim. Someone who will have a relationship with the father's wife. Ervas Aviv Gila, you see the mother. They get Moisim Shneim Dveimon. That's the punishment. Oyni Shaman, Azor Minaim. Especially in Arayos, we have this concept that you have two parshas. Parshas Achimois, there it says all the no. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Pasuk Kedoshim, it says, whoever does this will get punished. Whoever does this gets punished. So you have a Azara and you have a Oynish. Always have to have a warning and you have a punishment. So how do we know where is the Azara? So now we're going to the pasuk that we learned in Shabbos. That's the pasuk in Parshas Achimois. Ervas Aviv lo ysigale. Don't reveal the erva of the father. Ervas Avicha, what is Ervas Avicha? So according to this mandam and it's a shita Rabbi Yehuda, when it says Ervas Avicho, doesn't mean the father himself. It means the wife of the father. Who said? Maybe it's the father himself. It says by the first pasuk, the pasuk Pasuk Kedoshim. When it speaks about the wife of the father, it says there Ervas Avicha. So Ervas Aviv. Ma'alalan b'ishu zekos medaber, afkan b'ishu zekos medaber. Right? So the fact that it says Ervas Aviv by Kedoshim, and it says Ervas Avicho by Achimois, you assume, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's the same thing, which means the wife of the father. So you have you the wife of the father, mother or not mother. How do you know a mother who's not a wife of the father? Born out of wedlock. That's the pasuk we learned yesterday. The pasuk Achimois. It says like this: Ervas Avicho vas imcho loisigali. So it's Ervas Avicho, the wife of the father. It says Ervas Imecha, the mother. What do you mean? You just said the wife of the father. Talking about a mother who's not the wife of the father. So now this is what we mentioned before the Gzera Shavah. In the Azor, in the Lav, in Parshas Achimois, there it says clearly Ervas Avicho, Ervas Imecha. Ervas Avicho is the wife of the father. Ervas Imecha is the mother who's not a wife. How do you know by the punishment that the mother is also, even if she's not a wife. That's exactly the show we mentioned before. Somewhere in the warning, we made the mother was not a wife, like the mother was a wife. That's what we have. Now this goes back to, that's the pasuk we mentioned in yesterday's daf. The Gemara, the pasuk in Parashat Achimoy says, Erva Savicho, wife of the father. Erva Simecho, the mother. Lo Yisigala. Imchohi. Why are you saying Imchohi? I just mentioned the mother. Why are you adding the word Imcho? The Imchohi tells you if you have both, you chayav only for the mother, not for the wife. That's how you dash the pasuk. So according to Rabbi Yudo, I take both psukim. And the pasuk by Doishim, it says the Oynish. And then it says Evas Aviv, referring to the wife. So when it says the warning in Parashat Chimois, it says Evas Avicho Isigale, refers to the wife. Then it says Evas Imcho, it means the mother herself, not a wife. And then it says Imchoi, to tell you what, mother only, and not, you don't punish if a mother is both. A mother and the wife, you punish only for the mother, not for the wife. That's how Rabbi Yudo learns the psukim. Where Rabbanon will do that. They're learning in Parashat Achimois when it says Erva Savicho, it doesn't mean the wife of the father. It means Erva Savicho Mamish, meaning someone who has a relationship with his father. So what do you mean? Hai Me'eve Zocher Nafko. This we learn from the pasuk. It says you're not allowed to have a relationship with a man. Any man. So there's two stories. When if a person has a relationship with his father, it's chayav first of all because he's a man. Second is chayav because it's his father. It says if a goy has a relationship with his father, chayav shtayim. Abal ochiv chayav shtayim. His relationship with his brother is chayav two. So it says a goy. Not talking about a goy. Talk about a Jew. Because what do you mean will be two? If he did it by mistake, he didn't realize, he didn't understand how the mistake happened. But he had a relationship with the father. By mistake, he has to have being two korbanos. One korban for the fact there was a father. Second korban, there was a man. The reason why he says a goy, it's just to say a nice losh. You want to say mamash a goy? What do you do for a goy? You kill him. Even if he did b'shegis, this we'll see later in the Gemara, in our Masechta, that a goy who did an aveira b'shegig, he's killed. There's no such thing as a korban by a goy. Betray katle katle. A goy can't have two. He's killed once. Can't kill someone twice. So by a goy, if it says two, a korban doesn't mean a goy means a Yisrael. Because by a goy, it's not shaykh to have two. So in it says in the pasuk, Ervas Aviv, Ares Avicho means relationship directly with the father. Tanya Miyachi Abal Oviv, Chayav Shtayim. Abal Ochi Oviv, Chayav Shtayim. Ikeda Amir Deloy Kabudo. Some say that's coming to argue Rabbi Yudo because Rabbi Yudo learns that Ervas Avicho is not talking about the father. It's talking about the wife of the father. That's what you said. Ikeda Amir Afil Temi Rabbi Yudo. Umaisa B'Kalochim Miyachi Oviv. You learn from the uncle, because by the uncle, it does say clearly the uncle. Why? Because the pasuk says, it says the Rashi brings that it says by the father, it says Evas Avichi Avicho Lo Yisigale, and because it says El Ishto Lo Tikrov. Evas Avichi Avicho Lo Yisigale, El Ishto Lo Tikrov. Don't have a relationship with the uncle, and don't be with his wife. So we said the wife. So when it says Evas Avichi Avicho, it means the uncle himself. So there it means the uncle himself, and the Torah tells you have two Yisurim. When a person has a relationship with his uncle, it's chayav out the uncle, and it's chayav out a male. Now, so according to Rabbi Yudo, how do you know a father? You look at the chayav. The uncle, who the only reason you relate to him is because of the father, chayav shtayim, haviv l'koshikin. So a father, of course, will be chayav too. What's the machlokes? Can I take a l'chomer? Do you punish basic l'chomer? You don't warn basic l'chomer in mazir minadin, but onshim minadin is machlokes. So if I know that the uncle you have to, not sure what the father have to, so that's like in parentheses. The Gemara said we said over here someone has a relationship with his father's have to. Is that going to Rabbi Yudo the learns when the pasuk speaks about the father means the wife of the father? Machlekes. So how do Rabbanan know the wife of the father? Because they explained the pasuk about the father. That's what it says. It says the pasuk. Ervas eishes avicho loy sigale. Ervas avichai. It's another pasuk in Parshas Achimois. You now have a relation with the wife of the father. What is going to do with that? He learned already. He learned it from the first pasuk. To tell you that even after the father dies, there still is. That's what it says of That same pasuk says, What's Evas Avichoi? That remains even after death. What will do that pasuk? Really goes to Shittostu. When you have two Yisurim, you have only one. So if you have the wife of the father, who's also a wife, you don't have him two, have only one. We learn in our Mishnah about Leishes Av, Chayav Alem Mishu Eishes Av, Umishu Eishes Ish, Pemi Chayav Bin Lachem Isav. Our Mishnah says you have two. For the Polig Yehuda, we don't see Yehuda arguing on this Mishnah. What about your Polig Brisa? He does argue, he just doesn't argue in the Mishnah, argues in the Brisa. So we made what? Right now, this is how the Mishnah Lamelech and Perek Beis Mi Yisuri Bi Alocha Beis. He puts it together. He says there's Arbi Yisurim over here. We have to address a few things. It says in the first pasuk, Evas Avicho Vasim Chole Sigale Im Choi. So according to Rabbi Yudo, Evas Avicho means the wife of the father. Evas Imcho, the mother. Im Choi, only the mother you chayav, not chayav on the father. According to Rabbanon, Evas Avicho means a father himself. Evas Imcho means the mother. So how do I know Azor and the wife of the father? Because that's Evas Eishes Avicho. Rabbi Yudo learns Evas Avicho is even after death. According to Rabbanon, you learn from information Avicho, Evas Avichi. According to Rabbi Yudo, teaches chayav only one. How do you know you have a punishment? It said you have a warning after death. How do you know punishment? According to Rabbi Yudo, we said there's Gzera Shava from Parashat Achimois to Parashat Doshim. So you learn everything to each other. Hello, Rabbanim, you know they don't have Gzera Shava. According to Rabbi Yudo, the word Erebus Evi Gilo, that it says, that we learned in the beginning of the Amud, that it says in Parashat Doshim, that you learn Gzera Shava, they use that word for the punishment. How do they know a punishment for the mother? Because they didn't have, they don't have the Gzera Shava. By the pasuk of Parshas Achimois, it says Imchoi. So according to Rabbanon, why do I say Imchoi? According to Rabbi Yudo, Imchoi tells you have only on the mother, not on the wife of the father. But according to Rabbanon, Imchoi tells you that the mother is like a wife of the father. Not to tell you it's one and not two. According to Rabbi Yudo, they already know the mother, because the mother we mentioned, Vas Imcho is the mother. But according to Rabbanon, Vas Imcho means the wife of the father too. Oh, he has both, mother and wife of the father. How do I know only a mother? Imchoi. So really, if you think that pasuk, that's really the source of everything. Evas avicho, Evas avicho, Evas imcho, loisigale imchoi. What is that? According to Rabbi Yudo, Evas avicho, wife of the father. Evas imecho, your mother was not a wife of the father. Imchoi, you have only one. According to Rabbanon, Evas avicho is the father himself. Person who has a relationship with his father. Evas imecho means a mother who was a wife. Imchoi tells you the mother was not a wife. So that's why according to Rabbanon, you don't have a limud tell you have only one, you have two. That's what our Mishnah have two. According to Rabbi Yudo, you have only one. And then the other psukim have to fall in place, and that's what the Mishnah sets it around in Perek Beis Mi Yisuri Bi Alocha Beis. Says the Gemara in Abol Kalos, we ended the Mishnah, it says, someone has a relation with his daughter-in-law. Why don't you not mechayev also because of the wife of the son? Because it says, you have kaloscho, and you have the wife of the son. So the daughter-in-law and the wife of the son. The same pasuk says, daughter-in-law and the Eishes B'noi. Because it says, there's no two things. Daughter-in-law and wife of the son is the same thing. It's the same issue. Continues the Mishnah. in these dapim, a little more in the gory side of Eretz. Haba ala zocher, someone has a relationship with a male. Vala be'emo with an animal. Va'ishu meviya sabe'emo, and a woman who brings the be'emo on her, beskilo. Im adam choto be'emo machoto. Why punish the animal? What did the animal do wrong? The animal is involved causing the Adam to get punished. That's why he punished the animal as well. Another explanation. You know an animal passing in the street and you say, oh, look at this animal. You know this animal? This pit, the bull. There was a person who killed because of her. As we'll see in the Gemara, that's called, in the second part, you include, except the fact that you say skilo, because there's two things over here that we're just talking about. There's a takala, you have a animal who caused an other to an avera, and then there's something called kulin. Kulin means embarrassment, disgrace. You don't want people to go ahead and say, oh, this person, how disgraceful this thing is. Similar zocha minon, you know male. Again, ish exclude a kotel. Chiddush Rashi says over here is that even though there's two people involved in that avera, two males, only one's being punished. I would think the only time you punish is only both be punished. Chiddush is even though a kotel is not punished, the other one is punished. Sheish kavet zocher, who has a relationship with the male. Being godel being kotel. Doesn't matter if the zocher is a godel or kotel. Mishkavei isha. Now, mishkavei isha means right, the way a male is born a male. Why it says mishkavei isha? It tells you, the fact that it says mishkavei isha teaches you that a woman also has two ways of being. Right? You have two ways, the same way, the way you do with a male, and the way a female is supposed to do it. We mentioned mishkavei isha to tell you that one has a relationship with a male. But from here I learned that a woman also has that same mishkav. Mois yumsu beskilo. They get killed. Beskilo. Maybe it's other miso. That's what we said in the previous daf. That you learn from the man bom. That's how you know stone. Continues the one that down on the base. Ain't no punishment. That's again that's the Pashas Ishkav. We're talking about Pashas Kadeshi. What does it say? Azoro. Minayin to learn that Zochel Tishka Mishkavei to Avehi. It says a lot. That's the lav in Pashas Achimus. Lamad Azor l'Sheikh Azor l'Nishka Minayin. So let's talk about a male who is doing the act. He's the doer. But how do you know the one who's being done to him? So Kadesh is Lashon of Znus. Part of Kadesh. From Kadesh Shoya Baritz. So it says the word Teiv in this pasuk. This pasuk in Melachim. So it says Kodesh and it says Toivos. So you see that Kodesh and Toivos is referring to a Zocher. You don't have to say that. So Rabbi Kiva says when it says Loisishka Mishkavei Isho, Loisishkav you can read it two ways. Don't lay and don't be laid. Lo sishkav and lo sishachiv. So the same pasuk teaches you for both. The one who's the doer and the receiver. Rabbi Shmuel says no, it's a different pasuk. It says lo yekadosh. Lo yekadosh is for the receiver. We'll see in a moment there's enough kamino if it's learned from the same pasuk or not. Behem we know, I know an animal. Torabonish pradakot again. Not a kotel. Sheitin shechlos behem that has relationship with an animal. Being good, big doesn't matter if behemoth is big or small, doesn't make a difference. Mois yumsu beskilo. You eskilo. Time beskilo. You know the chas kol miso vator. Amuras vator. You another miso. Marika taroigu. Marlam ki aroig targenu. So here you use a different drasha. It says taroigu, and it says aroig targenu by skilo because it says yotchot yeberushon la miso kolom bachrino. Malam beskilo avkam beskilo. Punishment. And how do you know that a person who has a behemoth coming on him is chayav? I'm talking about someone who is doing be'ilu with a behemoth. How do you know someone who gets a beila from a behema? To learn called sheichev in behema moisumus. Meaning you're in the sheichev already know sheichev. They're in the nishkov. That's all the behema had a relationship with the elder. That's all the psukim in Parshas Kedosh. Ben the Shev and the Nishkov. Hazor minay, how do you know warning? Do not have shchiva. Do not give to a behema. That's Hazor. Where is a warning for someone who have behema in a relationship with him? So the same passage we had before, it says Lo Yekadesh, which means don't do znus. For him, it says Tuev. Tivi Rabbi Shmuel. So Shmuel learns from a different passage. Give oim ein etzorich. Arei oim lo ten shchavtecha, lo ten shchivasecha. So shchavtecha means what you give. Shchivasecha is what you receive. So it's both we're mentioning in the passage, the same word. So again, similar machlekes. A zachor and a behemo. How do you know the hazara, the warning for the one who was being received the relationship? Either from the same pasuk or you have a special pasuk Lo Yekadesh. So now the more says Nafkevino. Habal zocher v'vielav zocher. Someone did both. He both gave, he laid, he was the giver by the relationship, and he was also the receiver. One pasuk is that v'zocher l'shishkav, and the other pasuk is Lo Yekadesh. So it's two different levels. So you have two different markets. Chadam Lo Yitishkav, Chadam Lo Yekadesh. The Rabbi Kiva, you learn both in the same pasuk, and you have v'lachas. Lo Yishkav, Lo Yishachav, Chadi. Similarly, Habal Be'im Avi Be'im Olav. Someone had a relationship with the animal, or he brought the animal on him. Amar Avol, Rabbi Shmuel Chayav Shtein. It's Chayav two. Chadam Lo Yititin Shchavtecha, Chadam Lo Yekadesh. To the psukim. The Rabbi Kiva, you have v'lachas. Shchavtecha v'shchivasecha, Chadi. You learn from the same pasuk. So here's enough community Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Shmuel. By Yomar, Rabbi Shmuel Nami in Chayav v'lachas. Rabbi Shmuel agrees, even though it's two different psukim, Chayav only one. Chektiv Lo Yekadesh b'gavri ksiv. When it says Lo Yekadesh, is referring to a gavro, which means what? It says, as Rashi explains, Rashi says, L'chtiv Lo Yekadesh b'znus de gavri ksiv. Al ve'be'eim o ein znus. Dafim b'avomis. Men dan zoynu mechikel v'lo shar v'lo shegdeshus. In other words, he agrees regarding a male too, but not by behemo. Behemo, this person is not referring to behemo, even like more mentioned before. And Rabbi Shmuel as well, so how does Rabbi Shmuel really know what person who has a relationship with a behemo, who receives a relationship with behemo? It says a pasuk, another pasuk could say for shmois. The other pasuk we mentioned before was say veiker. So he's teaching Nishkav. So why did it say Shoichiv? Should have said Nishkav. So but the reason it says this word, tell you they both include, they both have both. Now, someone who was a receiver from a male and a receiver from an animal. According to Rabbi Kiva, it's two different lines. Chadim lo yistishkav, ve'elun lo yistishochev. Chadim lo yistishavtecha, lo yistishivasecha. It's two different psukim. One for a male, one for an animal. The Rabbi Shmuel and Chayav v'lachas. According to Shmuel, Chayav only one, because they both are in the same pasuk. Either Lo Yekadesh. Right? So according to the first one, Lo Yekadesh teaches you, according to Rabbi Shmuel, both a male and an animal. By Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Chayav Shtein. That's the pasuk we just mentioned. That says Sheichev and you learn from the Nishkav. In other words, a behema you don't learn from the pasuk like a Bailish Tosei. Not from Lo Yekadesh. Lo Yekadesh talks about men, people. It doesn't talk about animals. So that's why he says it's to the Psukim that you have to. So the Hikam Machlekes over here of Rabbi Avo and Abaye is Rabbi Shmuel really learn behema from Lo Yekadesh or from the pasuk of Shechem behema? Someone did four different bias. He was boil a zachar, and he brought the zachar name. He was boil a behema, he brought the behema name. He did all four. According to everybody, according to Rabbi Shmuel, will be chayav 3 lavim. According to Rabbi Kiva, chayav 2. Wow, what's the chayav? Let's see Rashi. Rashi says, says Rashi, right in the left side towards about 15 lines on the bottom of the page, of the narrow lines. Someone has a relationship with a zocher, if he's zocher olav, miloy kaddish. Bala beimo leteshchavtecha. Aval mishum nir beimo lemechad b'adei. Now if he's zocher lemechad konafka. Right? Loy kaddish teaches you both someone who receives from an animal, someone who receives from a zocher. So both of them you learn from the same pasuk. And then I have 2 other pasukim for someone who gives. So 3 lavim. La baye bala zocher v'yalav treininu. Ve'zocher l'tishkav loy kaddish. Bala beimo v'yalav miloy tinishkavtecha. That comes in the same pasuk. What about the fact that you receive a meimo? In other words, how do I know a person who received from a meimo? But he's nishkav, is not shoichev. So you see that shoichev and nishkav is the same thing. So you're not chayav 2 when shoichev and nishkav. So that's why they both agree there will be 3 lavim. There will be, according to Rabbi Avol, there will be a lav, loy kodesh, for both, and then plus 2 for giving. And according to Abaye, loy kodesh for the zocher, shoichev for the zocher, and shoichev and nishkav for the beima, that's 3. All we agree to 3. And then for the, that's according to Rabbi Shmuel. And according to Rabbi Kiva, you have 2. Why? Because according to Rabbi Kiva, you learn shoichev and nishkav by a zocher from the same pasuk, and shoichev and nishkav and from the same pasuk. So it's only 2. Okay, says the Gemara, Tony Rabban, Zocher la subo kota kegod, behemo subo ktana kegod. What does it mean? Why la subo kota kegod by a zocher? Omer la subi espochas v'bentei shoni k'bentei shoni. If you want to tell me Koton, we know that a child who is able to do bio, he causes Isur. If a person agreed to have a relationship with a child who is already royally bio, there is a problem over here. So what are we talking about over here? In this case, he says that we don't have less than 9 and above 9. You have to get to 9 years old to be a royal bio. If it's less than 9 years old, you're not chayav. He says the minimum age is 3 years old, not 9 years old. Why? What's the machlekes? Shoichev has to be at least 9 years old. If it has not relation. So also someone who had a bila with a katan will be 9 years old. It goes both ways. The giver has to be 9 years old. We know that less than 9 years old there's no beila. So if a child 8 years old was shoichev with somebody else, not a beila. But it's the same way when a person does a shchiva with a katan, he's giving to the katan, also has to be 9 years old. Shmuel Tzavar Mishkevei Shiksiv. I don't care. I'm looking about a woman. When you're receiving, you're like a woman. By a woman, what age a woman is royal labia? 3 years old. So a person who has a relationship with a katan, 3 years old, is really chayav. So the question is, the child who receives, is he 9 or 3? That's the machlokes. Tanakav say the Rav, Socha ben Teish Shoni b'yom echad. If he's 9 years old, without name, without that, Haboa l'beimo. He has a relationship with the animal. Ben kedarka b'shol kedarka. Doesn't matter how she did it. A woman bring a beim on her. Chayav. Right? So it's 2 different things over here. 2 different things over here. As Rashi says, that's number 1. To tell me that 9 years old is be less than that. Then I have another case. By a woman you have 2 mishkovos, kedarka v'shlo kedarka. By an animal you have only 1. Only the normal way. Doesn't make sense. A woman, there's a normal way to have a relationship with a woman. You do it the other way, it makes sense as nothing. There's no normal way to have a relationship with a behemoth. You're never supposed to have a relationship with a behemoth anyway. So any way you do it, you're chayav. So if you want to differentiate between a woman and a behemoth, the woman should be only one and the behemoth should be both, not the opposite. So it says, in other words, it doesn't make sense to say this way. Tanya, now with this parenthesis, because the Pope is not arguing to say the opposite. The Pope just saying it doesn't make sense what you say. So what is it right? The Pope Tanya, it doesn't matter that if the behemoth, what way the behemoth and the behemoth. So you see over here, it doesn't make a difference. By an animal, both ways work. By Isha, both ways work. Because it's called Shekhan. By Isha, both ways work. So of course, by behemoth, which is never normal, it's always going to be the right way. Now, the one last thing we wish to mention, that it says, we're talking about the behemoth, meaning that, but this really is not a chiddush. An animal is no different between an adult animal and a young animal. But we mentioned a katan, so we mentioned also the behemoth. So we'll stop over here. Be'ez Hashem, we'll do the next daf today after Mincha Ma'ariv. Kol Tov.